All right, this is Judson Powell, the fastest 15 minutes in social media and on the internet. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, share it with your friends and family and everybody. All right, anyway, I want to talk about Dave Chappell. So I'm going to talk about Dave Chappell and the comedy special that he just put out. And I want to talk a little bit about the homosexual agenda, the LGBT or whatever. He made some jokes and some comments on his special on Netflix about the lesbian, gay, bisexual community, transgender community, etc. And I believe that a lot of this stems from the fact that you have to understand that the media is controlled by the homosexual agenda, whether we like to say that or not. And I'm not really afraid of saying it because I don't work for anybody. So it's like I work for myself. So I could really care less about what people say. And I think Dave Chappelle is at that point too. And that's what made the comedy special good. It was great. But the most poignant thing, I think, at the time, when we look back, me and my wife were sitting there talking about it, and the one joke that stood out above anything was when they called him into the to the standards office, or it's almost like the principal's office, where they tell you what you can say and what you can't say on television, on network television. And there's always this has always existed, and certain things have gotten through. Well, the joke was that he used the word faggot, and when he used the word faggot, they called him into the office. Well, you can't use the word faggot. He said faggot. He said, well, why can't I use the word faggot? And basically, if you saw the special, she said, because you're not gay, Dave. And then he turned back around and he was like, well, look, he's like, y'all allow me to use the word nigger with impunity, and I can say nigger in any way I want to. And basically the punchline of the joke was, hey, or really wasn't a joke, but it was like, look, I'm not a nigger either. And so got me started thinking about, and I started thinking back. I remember Richard Pryor back in the day went to Africa, and when Richard went to Africa, and then his next stand-up that he did, he talked about his trip to Africa and all the things that he saw and the people he met and the things that he went through and the discoveries that he had made. Well, one of the things that came out in that little thing was the N-word. And so, and this is the thing, I think that right now we need to be very, very careful about the N-word. And then I had one of my frat brothers and one of my friends on Facebook, and he put a question on his social media, and he was saying, look, now all of a sudden women, it's okay for women to call each other B's and H's and all that, and then we call each other the N-word all the time. And so between N's, B's, and H's, we're calling each other out of our name on a continuous basis, and this is not something that is going on basically in the majority community. So we're trying to figure out, well, what's really going on, what's really happening, and how detrimental and how unsafe is it to us as an African people. And that's the other thing. My other crusade is, all of these people out here trying to make out like they are not descendants of Africans. They'll descend from any place else. Everybody is talking, first of all, and so I'm like crazy about that, because look, they have done DNA mapping now. DNA, okay? They have done DNA mapping. There is a gene, and it is called the mitochondrial gene, and it traces the female bloodline all the way back to the beginning. Well, there's only one gene that this gene can trace back, and they called it the Eve gene, even though I'm against that, because I don't really think that that's the right name for it. It should be called either the H0es gene or the Isis gene. Let's be real. Let's call it after the mother queen goddess, the one who really is the mother of us all. All right. And so I'm trying to figure out, and that's not opinion, but it's like you can trace the bloodline all the way back. And now that they've mapped it out, they can trace your DNA and your ancestry all the way back to where you came from in Africa. All right. So, all of the things, science has equaled out a lot of the mysteries, and isn't that God? God has basically equaled out the mystery and has solved the mystery. Okay, and all of these innocent people that have been in jail, they're being exonerated. They're being exonerated by what? By DNA. Okay, because they're going back and they're finding out, he wasn't there, or she wasn't there, or no, he didn't rape her. He didn't rape. All of these things are being found out. Why? Because of DNA. All right, but the DNA proves something. All right, and this is what the DNA proves, is that no matter where you ended up on Earth, okay, no matter where you ended up on Earth, the so-called Eve gene says what? It says that you are African and that you came from either Ethiopia, Kush, or Kemet. All right, so you came from that group of sub-Saharan Africans. All right, and let's be consistent. We have gone all around the world. That's why you find our symbols and you find our things. The underwater, even underwater in what they call Atlantis, there are pyramids and there are ankhs and there are things that have Kemetic symbology to them. All right. So don't get the game twisted. Look, when they burned down the library at Alexandria, okay, and why was it called Alexandria? It was because Alexander the Great, so-called the Great, right, had basically invaded Kemet, right? But what was also, not only were the original Kemetic scriptures there, but you know what else was there? Ships, a fleet of ships. Kufi, think about, the original Noah's Ark story was about what? A ship, and the ship is still there in Egypt right now today. All right, Kemet, right now today. So stop tripping, y'all, and be what you are. Why does everybody, and it kills me. Y'all, we got all of this stuff, skin bleaching, people, walking around using Hebrew and Yiddish, once again, even according to to pretty much every historian that's out there, the Hebrew language and the Yiddish language, which were almost tantamount and almost equal to each other, guess what? They are European languages. They are Middle and Eastern European languages. That's where they started from, Caucasians. All right. And the original language, the original alphabet is where? In Kemet. We had the original alphabet. We had the first language, the first written language. All right. You cannot make something up that's already made up. So it's just like when they lied to us and told us that Columbus discovered America. Well, Turtle Island, as what the indigenous people called America, right? They didn't discover it. It was already there, and there were already people there, and there were already Africans there. And I'm sure, because I know that I even have a story that circulates in my own family about a great-great-great-grandmother who was dark-skinned, and they called her an Indian, right? But she had no knowledge, and they had no knowledge or no census records or nothing to say that she was ever a slave or that she ever came over on a ship from anywhere else, that she was born here before it was possible, for her to have been part of the slave trade. And then stop denying the obvious coincidences of, just the fact that the King James Bible came out right around the time that slavery started. And the fact that, that King James was a homosexual and a demonologist, which brings me back to my original point of the fact that there is a homosexual agenda. All right. And if you don't fall in line with the homosexual agenda, then you are ostracized within the entertainment industry because they own the industry. They own the news media. Look at all of the people that are in that industry and look how they move up and they advance and they become successful. And this is not homophobic because I don't care what you do because I'm married and have a wife and I love my wife and I could care less who you sleep with. All right. But what I do care about is when you systemically try to force an agenda. That's just like if I systemically force an agenda because I have power and control over you. See, the reason why the black man can't stress a powerful agenda over anybody is because we don't own nothing. So if I own the networks and every day I own the networks, and in fact, it's just like the same thing on the black stations, on BET and VH1 and MTV and all of that, the stations that our young people watch. What do they constantly push at us? They call people, and that's what this thing started off with, niggas, bitches, and hoes. Okay? What happened when rap music changed to gangster rap? Then all of a sudden niggas, bitches, and hoes. Do you realize that what you name something, names are important because names describe and they put spells. That's why I talk about, that's why even if you believe in the Bible, what does the Bible say? What, as a man speaketh, so is he, or as man thinketh, so is he. So if I constantly get you to think nigger, and I constantly get you to think bitches and hoes all the time, and that's what I show you, and I constantly influence you and put that in your mind on a continuous basis, guess what? That's what you become. That's what you become. It's not, and this is, this ain't no hocus pocus. This is a strategic plan. All right? This is a strategic plan thought out in order to take advantage of and to keep power and control over the African American, the so-called African American, the black, the Negro, the colored, whatever you want to call it. I call myself African because I'm African. All right. So I don't care what you say. And then, like I said, then anytime you say something against the agenda, then all of a sudden you're homophobic or whatever, just like, and the whole thing, like he was talking about, this entire thing is okay because Dave Chappell made some jokes, but ladies and gentlemen, he's a comedian. Okay, and one thing that I learned, I took film in college, and when I was taking film, the basis of all comedy is tragedy. And the basis of all tragedy, there's always a comedic, or I'm sorry, not comedic, but a comedic, side to every single tragedy. The man slips, the example they used when I was in college, the man slips, falls back on the banana peel and busts his butt. Okay? If it wasn't your butt that got busted, then it's funny to you, right? But if you were the one that slipped and fell, it wasn't funny. All right? And so that's basically what we have here. To a lot of people, it's funny, but the most poignant part was, you can say faggot if you are a faggot. You can say nigger if you are a nigger. You can say bitch if you are a bitch. You can say hoe if you are a hoe. Guess what, y'all? What is that saying? And then we wear it like a badge of honor. Well, white boys can't say that. You better not say that. You get your butt kicked up in here. You know what I'm saying? Be for real, y'all. Be for real. So that's what it's doing. So psychologically, all of these things, no matter what you're talking about, when it comes down to these name calls and all of this thing that we keep on doing repetitively, and it becomes a cycle. And and I'm gonna be, and I say I'm not being hypocritical because I used to use the N-word a lot, all the time. But guess what? But I've stepped back off of it, and I've chilled, just like Richard Pryor did when he came back from Africa, because I'm not a nigga, so I can't say nigga. So if you're not a nigga, or if you're not a bitch, or if you're not a hoe, if you're not a faggot, if you're not this, that, the other thing, then only talk about that stuff with your ilk, with the people that you're down with. But other than that, then leave it alone. And I guess that's where we have to leave it for right now. I'm gonna think about this some more, and I'm gonna come back at you fastest 15 minutes on social media and on the internet. I'm Judson Powell. Please go hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I love all of you. I love everybody. Irregardless, I love you all. And please tune in next time. Thank you, and God bless you.